So, welcome to the last meetup this year. As always, we start with a community update, but this time we'll also have a little review of this year to see what's happened. But yeah, I'll first start with the catch-up of the community update, and I think it has been 2 or 3 months since the last update, and a lot of stuff has happened, so I'll focus on the the most important stuff. And I think the most important thing that happened was Flink Forward and the 0.10 and 0.10.1 release. In that release, it's all about stream processing, and it's all about making Flink the best open source stream processor available. You can also see this tweet from Tyler, who's working at Google, and he also sees that Flink is the most sophisticated open source stream processor available with this release. Yeah, so for the features, we added support for handling event time or out of order streams. So Flink is able to process events as they occurred in the real world, not as they come into the system, which allows you to have predictable results also in case of like network issues or late arrivals and so on. We also added master high availability. This means you have no single point of failures. You can leave Flink running for several weeks, and we have production users who do that. We graduated the streaming API out of the beta flag, so it's now like a stable, supported API. We added a new monitoring interface, so it's a REST service with some hipster JavaScript technologies, and it has like live updating counters and stuff to analyze and see what's going on. So you can see the gigabytes processed, the number of elements processed, and so on. And you can also have your own counters which are updated live. For the batch part of Flink, we added support for allocating managed memory off heap as well. So next to the on heap byte arrays, you can also allocate direct byte buffers, which should reduce the pressure from the garbage collector. We added support for outer joins by adding a separate operator for this, and also APIs. And Jelly, the graph processing API, got a Scala API. I also would like to mention that Otto from Hamburg, they released a testing framework on top of Flink for their unit tests. So Flink actually also has tools for unit tests, but they have like a bit of different APIs for the testing. For 1.0, which is around the corner already, and the next upcoming release, we mainly focus on providing interface stability, but we also merged some features already for the release. So one is that the Kafka connector got improved, so it now allows you to read multiple topics. It allows you to also get the keys and some other stuff. We added support for running Flink on firewall setups. That's something that production users were asking for. There is a external contribution in this contrib project of Flink, allowing you to do out-of-core state for JDBC. I think he's using it with MySQL to put, I don't know, contents of big windows into a JDBC database. The Flink Storm module got a nice blog post, and it was improved a lot. So I think now all the examples from Storm are running with Flink Storm compatibility layer. At least the examples for the for the topologies, not for this distributed RPC thing. The RabbitMQ source got exactly 1 support, but I think like always, most of the comments were about stability, usability, documentation, and so on. We also have some very nice pending pull requests. For example, now we will very soon, I think this week, merge something called save points, where you can manually trigger checkpoints and then restore from those checkpoints. So it allows you to basically specify a checkpoint when starting a job. And this makes maintenance of jobs much easier, because you can upgrade Flink, you can upgrade your job, you can also reprocess data from the past if you see that you did something wrong in your code. So there are a lot of very neat use cases enabled by the save points. We are continuously improving the web interface, and it will soon allow you to submit jobs through this web interface, through the hipster web interface, not through the old web submission client. And there's a pull request for Flink 7, so it's like a really, really old issue. I think we are at 3,100 or so now with Flink issues. This is like a very early one. For a range partitioner, which is automatically sampling the data distribution to come up with the ranges. There's also a pull request for stopping streaming topologies properly. Right now you can also only cancel them, but stopping is a bit nicer. And we add more stuff to the monitoring. So we expose internal statistics through JMX beans, so you can use tools like this J console to see internal statistics. You can also use other monitoring tools. And we'll also export metrics from the checkpointing. So you can see like the frequency of checkpoints, how long they took, and so on, to identify issues with the checkpointing. I've also assembled a little list of blog posts to read. So at the Elasticsearch blog, we had a guest blog post describing how to build real-time dashboards with Flink and Elasticsearch. It's really nice to see that you can actually create nice dashboards with data from Flink. I think the example is analyzing some data from taxis in New York City, and you see a map from hot areas on the map. And you get a nice hands-on introduction into Flink. We've put out a blog post describing the streaming windows, so what kind of windows exist, like count window, time-based windows, also these tumbling and sliding windows. So there are very different kinds of windows, and also there's a description in a nice picture that describes like the advanced techniques of windows with manual trigger, eviction policies, and so on. There was also a blog post about the storm compatibility layer in Flink. In the Data Artisans blog, there's a more advanced blog post on new streaming use cases, which are enabled by this ability to process out-of-order streams. And somebody else, like not a Flink committer, wrote a blog post, like a hands-on blog post, how to get started with Flink by using an example, like reading data from Twitter. So he's subscribing to like a search string, and then he gets real-time search results into Flink. So that's it for the community update. And now I would like to do this year in review part where I summarize what happened. So yeah, let's have a look at what happened with Apache Flink in 2015. And one good source of understanding what happened is by looking at numbers. And one number is, for example, the number of stars that we have on GitHub, our GitHub repository. So in February, that was the oldest screenshot that I found for the number of stars that we have. We had 290 stars. Now we are at 813, probably more by now. And also the forks went up from 160 to 544. So you can see it's a pretty impressive number. And I think this is a good measurement to see like real developers, people that look into code, that want to see the examples and so on, and also that want to contribute. So apparently there are a lot of people which are interested in contributing. And also I know that the number of contributors, I think it was like 75 earlier this year, or in the beginning this year, and now we are at 150 or so, or maybe even more. Another good number is the meetups worldwide. So this meetup was the first meetup here, the Berlin meetup. It is still the largest Flink-only meetup, but the Bay Area meetup is very closely behind us. So I think this one has 540 members, and the Bay Area has like 500 members. But there are a lot more meetups, as you can see. In particular, the US picked up very nicely by fall. So there is one in New York, in Boston, Washington DC, Chicago, also some in Texas, I think, and the Bay Area Meetup. So it's really nice to see Flink growing from a little local grassroots movement to a global community all over the world, with meetups that aren't run by data artisans or by Flink committers, but just enthusiastic people that are excited about the project. And that's nice to see, and I think this number is even stronger because it shows that people are willing to really go somewhere to talk with people about Flink. Some facts. So these are the organizations which were present at Flink, or which presented something at Flink Forward. I think there were more organizations even present. But those are speaker organizations at Flink Forward. So you can spot some very well-known names like Google, IBM, but also users like Otto, Amadeus, Zalando, and so on, universities. So it's a very nice mix of people which were joining the Flink Forward party 2015. Flink was also featured in a lot of websites, blog posts, news pages, and so on. I think one big spike in publications was in the beginning of the year when we graduated out of the Apache incubator. There Flink got a lot of attention, and recently it also got a lot of attention for the stream processing capabilities of Flink. Another fact is the number of talks about Flink at Hadoop Summit in, I think it's in Dublin this year. I think last year there was basically one talk about Flink. Now we are at 17 talks, which were some. It is talk proposals which are for vote, but still it's a pretty impressive number to see how. I think there were. I don't know. I don't think that there were more proposals last year, and I think that quite some of those talks get accepted at the summit. I think this overview of Apache Flink, the talk by Slim, has the most votes, so this talk is certainly in. But there are also some in-depth technical talks which are very interesting for the community. I spoke a bit about Flink Forward already, and the slides are all available online, and also the video recordings, and it's a really great source for learning more about Flink. We had very, very interesting talks, for example, about integrations with other systems, performance benchmarks, use cases in the industry, like also sharing of experiences, how to deploy it, run it, and so on. So it's a really nice mix of very different things at Flink Forward. And it was also a very nice event in general to meet all the people that are using the system, that are contributing to it. There were people coming from all over the world to Berlin, which is really, really nice to see. And the last thing I would like to look at is the features that we actually added to the system. And in January, we released Flink 08. And then even in February, I was pretty impressed that it's so young. We added Jelly and the table API to the system. In March, we, together with Google, published this Dataflow runner for the batch system, so you can use Dataflow API implemented systems with Flink. We also started Flink ML, the machine learning library. In April, we added the Python API. In May, Zeppelin announced integration with Flink, and we added the static code analysis for the optimizer. In June, we released 09, which added akka for RPC, the batch exchange, and the first implementation of exactly once for streaming. Then we added the new dashboard and started working on high availability. In August, we added the Jelly Scala API and a sample operator for the dataset. So I don't know whether it's worth to read all the stuff. But it's pretty impressive to see how many features, how many new components were added to the systems or new integrations were added to Flink. I think all the stuff is relevant. Like there are people using Flink with Scala 2.11, or there are people which are working with the windowing now, or the rolling file syncs, Elasticsearch. There was this blog post. High availability is something that people are asking on the mailing list. It's pretty impressive stuff that Flink achieved over 1 year. Another source of great numbers is Git. I've looked a bit, the first thing I did was counting the commits. So we made 2,200 commits as of yesterday evening. There are more commits now. You can also see that the lines of codes are increasing. Luckily not very fast, because that's a bad sign. But you can also see that we are very active on Mondays apparently. Maybe we are just committing all the work from the weekend, I don't know. And we are committing the most code at 5, so probably because before leaving the office we are rushing some code in. So yes, that's for the Git statistics. But the nice thing is we're not done yet at this point. I think the party is about to get really started, because I think 2016 is going to be the year of Flink, the year when we really are the #1 stream processing system in the world. We will host another Flink Forward 2016. It's not yet officially announced, but I don't know the timeline, but we will certainly do another Flink Forward here in Berlin. And today we started discussing the roadmap for the features for the next year on the mailing list. And some of those are auto-scaling for streaming, so that we can adjust to the load depending, that we can like shrink and scale the cluster depending on the load. Then stream SQL and also SQL for batch, and managed memory state, so that we represent the state more efficiently and more robust using managed memory on the JVM, and much, much more. So that's the roadmap, and that's my review of the year. And now I would like to hand over to Jörg from Mesosphere from Hamburg. Yeah. Thank you.